Dina Brown's got your cover, sis. She can show you another way. Tune in weekly to your radio, and she'll have it feeling like there's a shift. Hey, yeah. Oh, no, no. The breakthrough is almost here. No. Talk to Dr. Dina. Insight. Dina. Advice. Dina. Your life, she knows what she's doing. Dina. Insight. Dina. Advice. Dina. Your life, transform your life. Dina. Insight. Dina. Advice. Dina. Your life, she knows what she's doing. Dina. Insight. Dina. Advice. Dina. Your life, transform your life.
Welcome to Walking Through Glass, the podcast with your host, Dr. Dina C. Brown. Today on the show, we have a phenomenal guest, Mirian Toro, who's going to have some conscious conversation with me about empowerment through financial literacy, right? Haven't we all had those times when our money just didn't seem quite right, or we didn't know just what to do. And the only thing that we could imagine doing was buying a pair of shoes. But yet we shouldn't do that, because it's how we choose to spend our money, how we see ourselves as an income earner, etc., that helps us walk through the glass a little clearer, a little more confident, and a little more consistent. And so I'm excited for Mirian to introduce herself to you and give a little bit of something about who she is, what she does, before we jump into that conscious conversation. All right, Mirian, let them know who you are.
Hi, I'm excited to be on your show, Dr. Dina Brown. My name's Mirian Toro, and I'm just very honored to be here with you today. My background goes from being in management since I was like 16 years old. I became manager at every company I came across, and it's just exciting that I'm able to help others and lead others. And now I'm doing it in a financial way. So I'm a wealth advisor, and I've been doing that for 7 years. Prior to that, I did commercial and auto insurance for over 20 years. And it's just very exciting to change careers and help others where it's very, very much needed. So
That's fantastic. You mentioned changing careers, and there's some mindsets that have to also follow you in regards to money when you're in a state of transition. And I just thought about that as you were talking about, you've had just this amazing career, and it's always been around servicing and helping people.
that is correct. I started at a very young age, and I lost my mother when she was 43. I was only 16. So I had to work and go to school at the same time, and seeing people work hard and just not able to enjoy their life made me create a passion for understanding the need to help others in this area. And it's just been very fulfilling to see people grow and become better financially.
Now, why a wealth advisor? Why not, you did auto insurance, which again is about covering people. Why a wealth advisor particularly?
Because the wealthy become wealthier and everyone else stays the same unless they have direction or more education. And when I saw that, I said, why are some people being overlooked? That was including my family and even myself. Most, high schools, they don't teach financial education. And I thought to bring it upon myself to make a difference. That's very intriguing how very, very legends, they leave a legacy, they leave something behind in the world. And I said, why can't I do that? I can also help others and make a difference in this area. I feel that you have the top percent of the population. It's only very few, the 3%ers. The rest of the population doesn't know what to do, and there's a big problem financially. And I'm excited to be part of the solution and helping people achieve their goals.
And that's really, I'm glad that you said that. And I wanted you particularly to speak to the concept of what wealth is. And people see people who are rich in a sense, but yet they're not wealthy per se. And for me, when I think about being wealthy, it's more than how many zeros you have that you can write a check with. It's really your mindset that you have to accompany it. And that building wealth is more than just accumulating things. And one of a good friend of mine always says, that if you're writing the checks, okay, you're on the road to being, physically, literally, wealthy. But if you understand how to create the income that goes with not only writing those checks, but earning money while you're sleeping, then you begin to really become wealthy. And so it's more wealth in mind, body, and spirit that also brings forth a financial result to go with that. So I like how you spoke about, why do some people have access and some people don't? I mean, that's huge, especially in underrepresented communities, that they're not really getting the information. And John Hope Bryant, I just came back from the Hope Global Forums, and he wrote the book called The Memo. And he'll always say, did you get the memo? And I feel like so many of us, especially women, we don't get the memo.
Exactly. And you think about, people like that have Steve Jobs, he worked so hard, he had so much money, but at the end of the day, he didn't get a chance to live beyond, I don't know, he was under maybe 60 or something. He was very young when he passed away with all of that wealth. So I'm thinking you living today, and you need to just make sure that you enjoy that day and not have that financial stress, because you can, make more money, but you can't buy more time. And to me, every day is a miracle we're alive. Every day is a passion to be able to become better. And it's so interesting when you see people that can say, "Hey, I can travel the world. I can leave tomorrow, but I'm not, a slave to my job. I'm not a slave to my bills." And that's something that is my passion, to see people accomplish, their dreams while they're alive.
That is, I share that I want to live my very best life today, not tomorrow, not 50,000 years from now, or when I quote unquote consider myself achieved whatever it is I think I needed to achieve. I want to live my very best life today, on the road to always living a better life. And I don't want to hold back, like you said, living. Now, I want to switch gears a little bit when we talk about women and money and their money mindset, and beginning to empower themselves by understanding how to use money to build wealth, how to use opportunity. And as I was working on actually a presentation for an upcoming event, what keeps coming up is that there's something called relationship capital. And to me, that is the biggest asset to anyone who would ever consider themselves wealthy, is the relationship capital. Why? Because those people that you connect yourself to, they have the power to open doors, facilitate, and to collaborate with you to exponentially grow not only your financial wealth, but your additional relationship capital. And relationship capital are the people that you know. The people that you know that can actually do something to add value to you, that's doing value to others. How I define it is that my relationship capital are the people that I am intimately connected to help support me and connect with me to grow me to my next level.
It's yes, it's very important to, like you said, be more aware of, what's going on, being involved in, the economy, the finances. So stuff like that really helps, to having more awareness, the financial literacy, financial campaigns. It does really, help our mind, expand to think bigger.
To think bigger. So when we talk about financial tips for women, so again, for me, it's really know your circle. Know who's in your circle and know who they know. Because I say to people that I'm connected to on an intimate personal relationship level that if I know them, then you know them, whether they've ever officially met those people at all. And when I grow and I have an opportunity that can increase, whether it's investment knowledge, whether it's other financial literary opportunities, is that if I know, then I want to make sure that you know. Okay. And that's who I am as a person. That's who I am as um, a woman walking through the glass and knowing that we don't walk through by ourselves. And I share with people, the term walking through glass, and I've been spending a lot of times thinking about it. And I say this because what does it really mean to walk through the glass? And I've just sat there because I get asked this question quite often. And so I realize it bears repeating and sharing consistently is that walking through the glass is not you breaking the glass ceiling and you becoming the number one wealth advisor, for your team or your group or your organization. It's not me being the CEO, getting the corner seat. Walking through the glass is now that the glass ceiling has been shattered. Now that I've broken through as a woman, the things that bear on me while I'm in those positions and I'm in that state is very powerful because it stems to even the way subconsciously we think about ourselves. And so those little shards of glass, depression, anxiety, limiting beliefs, imposter syndrome, all of those things go in the mix to make me doubt who I am. Now, for you as a wealth advisor who's like really helping other people and sharing with other people and helping them get to their own financial well-being, what that looks like for them, has there been a time for you in this season, like now, as you're doing that you're sitting there, that you have to have some self-talk with yourself, that you have to talk to yourself to say, okay, get out of it. What's going through your head? Or do you have those moments when things are going through your head and you're trying to figure it out, or it feels like the things that you're striving for, or now that you have it, is still not working all
Absolutely.
together?
A lot of times we know what to do, we just fail to do it. And, especially when you go do those purchases that you're not even thinking, you're just trying to keep up with the Jones and you're pretty much saying, oh my God, that purse would look amazing with my outfit, but I already have 20 purses. So a lot of us know what to do already, but we just kind of think about that moment of therapy could cost you a lot in the future, because if you think about that $500, that $1,000 you spend, you could have it in your retirement and actually increase it, get more interest on that money, because you have appreciation, you have depreciation. So your money must appreciate, not depreciate. So you think about that, once you take the ticket off, it's depreciated. So the goal is like, we have the tips, we have the knowledge, we know we got to save 10%, but are we really doing it? Or are we just thinking, we're not prioritizing? So I think that when we think long term, we need to think about what's going to happen tomorrow. We don't know what's going to happen in the market right now, but we need to be ahead of the game, prepared. You're either wealthy or you're really stressing. So there's no room in between. So to me, I really think right now it's more about, being proactive and getting things handled, getting things done, and making that shift. If we don't make the shift, we're going to live with regret. And you've seen people that are still working past 70, and it's just like pretty depressing.
So what about you? What shifts have you made, say, in the last 3 years? What shifts have you made to really begin to change the trajectory
I
of
know that,
your financial well-being?
I started working as a wealth advisor 7 years ago, and I quit my job 5 years ago. But I knew that if I had a day off, I had enough time to go shopping. So then instead of going shopping, I figured I'm going to go read a book. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to go to a networking event instead of having that free time to go do some serious damage. I'm making something that is going to help me become better and not going to cost me money. Because if you create a budget and say, Dr. Dina Brown, today I'm going to spend $20. whether it be Starbucks or coffee with my friends. That's my budget. If I go past my budget, that's it. I can't do it anymore. So you have to create limits. So that's what I did. I create limits where I say, hey, I'm going to eat at home today. And if I want to spend $20 or $15 today, well, I'm going to use it wisely. So it's just having a little more common sense about, that I'm going to need tomorrow. Today, I'm going to work hard to make it. So that's what I did. And also investing in yourself. I know that you do so much for others as far as helping them, have a better life. And it's just personal development is so important, because feeding our brain is just going to help us become successful and achieve achieve that dream. We all have different dreams. I don't know what your dream is. You might want to go to Europe. Like you said, you love to travel. And, I want to live in the Bahamas. I want to be able to have a little island next to Beyonce.
Well, my dream is it is, and I love that you're speaking to that dream and making some sacrifices in the now. So living my very best life today doesn't mean throwing everything to caution and just spending like there's no tomorrow. It's making conscious choices for the greater good. And my dream and what I'm working towards is to open up my bed and breakfast called the CEO Sanctuary for women. And it is a place of respite, a place of renewal for women to come and reset, often, and to reconfigure and re-script. Sometimes we get some scripts in our narrative that don't really align with who we are. So it's a place for them literally to come and reconnect with their authentic self. And then by doing that, they might choose, to write. So I literally can close my eyes and envision what it looks like, what the different rooms look like, what I want to do again as a business model with it, because the CEO Sanctuary also has other business elements that go with it. But the core part of that is that I also want to be at a point where I can help more people, especially women that need a safe haven and a place. So my goal is to employ and help other women who may be victims of domestic abuse or violence or homeless, etc., begin to rescript their narrative as well and begin their wealth journey. Because life happens to you doesn't mean that you have to sit in whatever muck that it's created for you. So for me, the concept of wealth is not just gaining financial wealth for myself. It's being able to empower others, especially women, to begin to build their own system. And that also begins with having a solid sense of relationship capital. That's what's going to lead to them actually accumulating more financial capital. Women are the least funded when it comes to venture capitalist pieces. Women, and that's why there's some women angel investor groups that are starting up to fund women, because less than, I didn't write the numbers down with me because I wasn't necessarily going to talk about that, but it is less than 20% of women who request X amount of dollars that they get what they've asked for, as opposed to men who get over 75% of what they usually ask for investment and when they have ventures and then they want to fund their dreams. But something that you said that hits home is that as women is that it starts with us. We have to make some choices and some shifts to begin to fund our own ventures. To say that today I am not going to go buy a $5 or $6, $7 Starbucks coffee. And I did it twice today because I had all these business meetings. And instead, if I really just needed to have a cup of coffee, I can run to the AM/PM or, go somewhere and get a 99 cents, or better yet, I can do it at home. Coffee is really inexpensive per cup. Really inexpensive. So it's making those choices that you have to have. And to me, that's what empowerment looks like. That's what it looks like, is when you empower yourself to make conscious decisions, to put yourself in a better light, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and particularly financially. That's when shift happens. And it doesn't mean that you can't splurge. So one little trick that I had, and I'm going to ask you, what's your one thing? What's your one trick that you would like to leave everybody with? But my one trick is that I don't like to go out a lot. So, everybody's going like to the movies. They want to go have drinks on the weekend, and you can spend massive amounts of money in doing that. So I had a travel bucket. And if I chose not to go to, say, the movies now, one person is $20 practically. And that's only if you sneak in your own popcorn and snacks. And I would take $20 that week and I would put that in that, or I call it the splurge bucket. And I would just do that periodically. Okay, I was going to go get a coffee, and then I made a choice and I didn't go get a coffee from Starbucks. And I usually get my coffees like $6 on average. Then I would literally take the cash, the $6 out of my wallet, and then I put that in the splurge bucket. And so every time I made a conscious choice not to act impulsively on some of the day-to-day things, then I would literally take that cash and I would put that in a bucket. And then periodically I'd go and I'd count it and I'd go, okay, now what? Now I could go on a trip. Now I can go. So then I've actually, amassed that by making some conscious choices and some non-sacrificial sacrifices, to do something to splurge on, because I do think that we do, if we're working and
exactly,
we do need to have an outlet. But the way we do it is changes. So sometimes going to the beach, I love to go sit by the beach and just sit and watch the waves. And so if I said, oh, I'm going to go and I'm going to go to happy hour. Okay, I'm say I usually going to spend $25 at happy hour. So I go sit by the beach anyway and have my own happy time watching the sunset and nature and all God's creation.
And
I just take that $25 and I put that in the splurge
there
bucket.
are so many people that are very savvy when it comes to, being frugal. I know there's an app, one of our tax friends shared with me. It was like, I think local flavor or something like that. You buy you pay $15, but get $30 worth of food. I'm like, okay, why doesn't everyone know about that? Imagine you could take your whole family instead of just going by yourself, or a couple people. And there's other apps that you can use that you can find discounts. I mean, there's just so many different people that they come out of the store and they just pay $1. I'm like thinking, okay, they really took the time to figure it out. Imagine if you take at least one day out of the week, just 1 hour, to figure out how you can stretch that money. It will be amazing how much more you would have at the end of the month, because it's important to say, hey, I made this amount of money, but I'm spending like 90% of it. No, we need to cut down and say, okay, my goal is to save 10 to 20%. But finding solutions is what's important. So many times, a lot of people just figure out on the challenge, getting my license for what I do. Coming out of a job, I didn't have the money. I thought about, how am I going to do this? Well, hey, I had a garage sale. Hey, you can sell things on OfferUp. You can sell things on different apps. So a lot of times people just get stuck on the problem, but don't try to find the solution. So you can do it if you want to. And all you have to do is say, hey, man, I've sold the bag on Rebag and I got $500. And I'm thinking, wow, that could have been in my closet. Think about that. That's a little trip to where? Florida?
Yeah. You know what you said? And it reminds me of a quote. I don't remember off the top of my head who said it, but there's nothing more powerful than a woman with a made up mind. Okay. And so we'll figure it out. And we just got to take the time to do that. But we also have to have the desire to do that. There's certain other reasons why some women turn to like retail therapy to deal with, depression, anxiety, to make them feel good. And those are some other psychological and social emotional issues that are stemmed in how they connect to, why they shop, why they spend. But before you go, I do want to talk about that whole concept of women and money in regards to getting paid what we should be paid. And I'm not just speaking from a corporate space. And there are disparities still in the marketplace between what women are paid and what men are paid. But what's really more powerful is the fact that many women choose not to ask for more money. And I know some women who don't even ask for people to, pay them back. And where does that mindset come from? Such as, oh, well, oh no, that's okay. I'll get it. I'll take care of it. And then you're seething because you only had $10. You just spent $6 on somebody else. And now you got $4 left because you didn't want to tell them that, no, you didn't have the money. Or somebody borrowed $20 from you and they didn't pay you back, and you guys are out for dinner and they're splurging, and you don't want to say to them, oh, okay, remember my $10, my $20, and that women and their fear of money, and even quoting it, people will say, well, what are your rates? And I'll share them with them, and they just kind of look, but it took a long time for me to get very comfortable with saying it and being quiet. And my coach said, tell people what it costs to work with you. The investment is not even a cost, it's an investment. And then be quiet. Because I've seen, and I had to work with several clients about this when we were setting and developing certain programs they had, and they kept saying, I don't know what to charge. And I'd say, charge X amount of dollars. Oh, I can't charge that. And there's this belief too that people aren't going to pay us. And I thought, where does that come from? And when you roll that all in to our different understandings of financial literacy, the role women have played in the household, and why we see certain women make that shift and others don't, that's just very
Exactly. I feel
that's
that
very intriguing for me.
being a
And so I
woman
love to
has,
explore that.
yes, we have, more responsibilities at home, etc. But there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to compete in the workforce. Why? Because I've been there, I've been in the corporate world where, I was the top female manager, and, my being a woman, to me, I put that aside and I just thought about my skills. And if we focus on our skills and saying we're sharper, we can do this, there's no reason why we cannot escalate, that corporate ladder, and not only becoming just business owners. That's, you have more control. I think there's got to be a lot more women that step up to say, hey, I'm going to be a business owner and I'm going to manage my time. I'm going to manage my money. I'm not going to let someone control my paycheck. I'm not going to let someone tell me what to do. All we have to do is just make that decision and say, hey, I'm confident, I am driven, I'm resilient, and I am just as good, if not better. And I think that, we're going to cause a little commotion, but, it's important that, I've seen people that are in your circle of friends that are very successful. And, we're breaking that glass, like you said. And I love it because it takes a Dina Brown, a Mirian Toro to start it. And, we have to start that because our daughters see it, our granddaughters, our future generations. But if we leave it the way it is and play victim and say, oh, we don't make that much. Yes, we can, and we will. So I believe that it's important to have confidence in ourselves. And you're one of the women that I follow. You're one of the persons that I look up to. And it's just, that's how we're going to succeed together. And I think in finances as well. We can't just let the men handle all of the finances and leave it all up to them, because the day we get upset and we part, guess what? There goes your money too. You need to have control and say so as well.
You're so right with that. And when I speak to, I share my C3 blueprint for success, and the key to that, and I share this every time I speak, and I share it, and it's applicable across every single platform, whether it's in business, personal, spiritual, is that the 3 things that you need to be successful and to be wealthy. And for me, successful is really about building significance. It's really about the legacy that you leave, is that clarity and knowing what it is that you stand for. What are your mission, vision, and values from a personal standpoint? And how do you want to use those mission, vision, and values to impact the world, to set the course, for any and everything that you do that follows that? Because once you're very clear on that, then you can stand confidently in your position, in your space, and you can demand what you do. You can ask for what you want, and you can make sure that you have what you need, and you don't have to shy away from opportunities because you feel less than or that you're not going to be enough. And when you have that sense of clarity and you have that confidence to stand in that space, in that truth, then you build consistent actions, which include financial wellness and financial literacy and financial strategies that's going to create wealth and build a lasting legacy, what we call generational wealth, for your kids, your grandkids, and for anyone within your community that's connected to you. And so those 3 C's are really quite powerful. And I share quite often that until we get clear about who we are, we'll never be confident
It's
about what we
taking
do.
back
And we can't be
the like you
consistent in
said,
our
empowerment,
actions.
having control. It's just so important to just pretty much make a decision and say, hey, I'm going to take this area of my life and I'm going to make it better. And how do you make it better? If you don't know how, you ask how. And it doesn't matter. You may have someone in your life that is able to help you and is licensed. It's better to go to a licensed person because, the weak can't help the weak. So you have to go after someone that is doing stuff, helping others, and is successful. No.
That's like tweetable. The weak cannot help the weak, right? The weak cannot help the weak. Now, as we begin to kind of wrap up, I always like to leave our listeners, and I thank you for listening. And if there's anything that resonates with you, and I know there's probably many golden nuggets, please feel free to share. Walking Through Glass, the podcast, is available on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, Apple Music Play, and of course, our host, Podbean. So there's multiple ways for you to be able to listen to it and begin to tap in and to comment. So it's not even just listening, but what is your takeaway? What additional information that you have? So all you listeners, we ask that you also share and add and comment and let us know, what are you doing to make sure that you have a better sense and understanding of how to build financial wealth, and included in that, and you pointed out to this, Mirian, is that that self-wealth is also part of that. So when you talk to many billionaires,
Exactly.
okay, you ask them one thing that they do that seems to be, because they read. They read. They're constantly working on their own personal growth and development that leads to additional financial well-being. So if you had to leave our listeners with that one thing, that means that tip that they can do right now today, when they finish listening to this episode,
Okay, I'm currently
and they need
reading a
to
book
take
I'm almost
action,
done with, but
what
it's
would
called The
that
Power of
one
Zero.
thing be
And The
that you could
Power of
share with them right
Zero is
now?
going to explain to you how to retire in a tax-free retirement. And I love the book because you think about what's going to happen in the future, how our taxes are going to be changing, and you want to make sure that you're in the best tax bracket, like the zero tax bracket, and there's possibilities to do that by learning and reading, and it's written, I believe, by a CPA, but it's just so intriguing. It's so intriguing. I love it. And I just know that it's better to know and be prepared than to not know and then be, dealing with the consequence later. So I would definitely recommend that book. I listened to it on audio. And there's also another book called Financial Freedom by Kevin D. Peterson. So think about, you read one book, 2 books a month, 4 books a month, and your knowledge is going to go way, way beyond what most people would know. And you're going to be able to share it with others. And just that way, we are able to just have more control and have a grasp and be able to manage your money.
All right. So she has some
I
great book tips.
am,
Now, how
I
can
am,
people connect with you?
I am one of your best friends
They
on
want to.
Facebook, Dr.
Got so
Dina
much good
Brown.
stuff going on. How could they follow you, connect with you?
I shared our picture together. We go way back, and I also added all of your
Ah,
links. I think it's so important to support each other, and I believe in what you're doing, and I'm so passionate about helping you in that, on that pursuit of making a difference. So I'm there with you, and you could follow me, Mirian Toro, on Facebook. I am also on Instagram, Mirian Toro 2017. I'm a friend of yours there as well. And you can also find me on LinkedIn. And I'm always accessible. I always reach out, respond. And it's just about having a selfless mind and just being able to help and just make a difference in the world. I'm just very, very excited about our friendship.
Yeah, and she's really always starts from a place of how can I help, how can I serve, and I think that when we're building relationship capital, is that you do need to look for people who authentically support you unselfishly,
Yeah.
like Mirian, and to do that. And from the moment that I met her almost 3 years ago, maybe it's always been that of, how can I help? How can I support? What are you doing? Let me support you. And the moment that we met, we realized that, okay, she's my people, to be able to do that. So you definitely want to check her out. And if you are in need and want to learn more about how to really begin to set the pathway and the strategies to build wealth and have greater sense of financial literacy, you definitely want to do that, because she really cares. She really truly cares, and the decisions that she helps you make and supports you in making for your financial future are always based on what's going to work best for you, not what she's going to get out of it. And so I can say that from the heart, because that's how she is. That's her spirit of what she does and why she actually does it, to do that. For me, I definitely want you to follow at Dr. Dina Speaks, DrDeena Speaks, on Twitter and on Instagram. And as we continue to kick off the Lead Her Shift movement, I'm really excited about the new things, and like you said, adding value. One upcoming opportunity that I have for October is the Tabula Rasa retreat, is really beginning to script that divine narrative. And so it's 3 days, 2 nights in Sedona, Arizona, but for a very limited number of people. When I say limited, I'm saying less than 5 people, because it's a very intimate experience to begin to script that, to remove some limiting beliefs and really build a concrete strategy for wherever you are growing to next. But it starts with removing a lot of the gunk, some of the phantom limbs, and being in a space that you disconnect to reconnect to your authentic self. And so I'm really excited about Tabula Rasa, which is coming up in October 4th through 6th, I believe. And so more information will be posted. And again, I encourage you to like, follow, share, and comment. And that if you have a conscious conversation that you think should show up on Walking Through Glass, please inbox me or email me at drdina@drdinaspeaks.com. And we definitely love to explore the topic. And if you're interested in being a guest on Walking Through Glass, the podcast, that's also a possibility as well. So I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for sharing. And I just want to make sure that you understand that we are all on the same journey, but we may have different paths that we take, but you do not have to do it alone. And you're not alone ever. There's someone out there who wants to support you, but you got to be very clear again about what that direction is and what your needs are, and be confident to be able to love people and accept support from them, and then consistently show up as yourself. And when you do that, walking through the glass gets so much easier and much more painless. So
Yes,
I thank you for joining
just
us today.
make sure that
Mirian,
what
did you
you
have
just
any final
listened to
words you want to say
today,
before we
put to
sign
good
out?
use. It's all for your benefit. And being in my 40s made me realize I need to start doing something. And, it takes with having a plan. Have a 1-year plan, a 5-year plan, and a 10-year plan. And I love your goals, Dr. Dina, because I'll be supporting you all the way. And just have those plans. When you write them out and you think about them, you visualize them, you achieve them. Make sure that you sit down and really create a budget and make sure that you are following it, and cut back on the unnecessary expenses, and just open that savings account and just put away 10%. Those are like the first 3 tips. Eventually you'll become an investor. Eventually you'll become a property owner. Eventually you'll have your own building. And, it starts with little steps. Take those baby steps, start crawling, and then start walking, then start running, and then nobody can stop you. I'm excited to, pay it forward with you. I love you all and I appreciate you for having me here. God has a big purpose for us and, we're going to make it happen together.
All right, thank you. That is so, so awesome. All right, there you have it. Walking to Blast the podcast with your host, Dr. Dina C. Brown, and our special guest today, Mirian
Thank
Toro, as we talk about really being empowered financially. Have a fantastic day. Bye bye.